Hello, my name is Steve Gearhart. This is the Unagi Observer. Thank you for choosing to watch today. Sorry for the late upload for those of you who are subscribers. If you can't tell from my voice, I've been a little sick lately, so hence the late upload. Sorry about that. But today, this week, I just want to talk just a little something about how I think there are certain things that should get the anime treatment. And by that, I mean it could be a movie, a manga, or book, or play, or whatever. Something that I think would benefit from being actually turned into an anime. I think that's something, it would be something that people would enjoy watching, but it hasn't happened for whatever reason. So why don't we get right into it, and let's start with the first one. Okay, so if you watched the last episode, then you already know all about the Kurosaki Corp Service. If you haven't watched the last episode, please give it a try. Take a look at it, because I'm not going to go into much detail here, except to say that it's an exceptional manga. If you like gothic horror with a little bit of comedy and spiritualism and mysticism in it, this is definitely a good subject. I think should be an anime. Like I said, it's already a manga. It's pretty good. It's very adult oriented. There's a lot of goro in it, and it deals with adult themes. But I think that it is something that you could easily make into a long running series, because each chapter is its own story, just about, except towards the latest omnibus. But also at the same time, you can make an overarching storyline, just like so many other OVAs do. And that's the other thing. This would have to be an OVA, simply because I don't really see how you can get around the Goro and show it on Adult Swim without getting some type of pushback on it. But you have basically a guy who can dowse for the dead. In other words, he takes the pendulum, and where it swings, he can find dead bodies. You have a computer hacker who is kind of into the morbid stuff, and she's not above blackmailing people. You have a Japanese girl who went to America to learn how to be an embalmer and came back to Japan, where most people are cremated. There's another character who is kind of an otaku, and he has a puppet on one hand, and he claims it embodies the spirit of an alien, this outer space alien, and that talks through the puppet. It's actually kind of funny. And then the last character, the leader of the group, Karatsu, is a guy who can actually touch a dead body, and the spirit that's trapped inside will speak through him, and as he speaks, he's actually speaking in the voice of the dead person. So they try to figure out why this person's soul hasn't left yet. So I think that would make a really good anime. So I know I just blew through that one real quick, but if you want to know more about Kurosaki Corp Service, please check the last video. I'll put the link down below. All right, on to the next one. Okay, this one's going to sound a little odd, and it may be a little self-serving, because it has to do with my job. I work in a theater where we show plays, mostly Shakespeare plays. The one that we're actually doing right now, this moment actually going on right now, is called Henry IV Part 1. And the reason why I think this should be an anime is because it's got a lot of good stuff into it. It's basically, if you liked Code Geass and you like the idea of monarchies fighting and interfamily turmoil and things like that in a royal setting, like an emperor setting, this is Henry IV. So basically what has happened is Henry IV, who is Lord of the Bolingbroke, is the monarch of England, but he's being beset by rebels on all sides. And as he's fighting to retain, to hold on to his kingdom, his son, Prince Hal, yes, that's his name, as dippy as that is, that's his name, Prince Hal is cavorting off with this guy named Falstaff, who's a total drunkard and a cheat. So you got this son who's basically wayward and carefree and really doesn't care about what's going on while this war is raging, and his father is just like, when are you going to get your act together? And they have characters called Hotspur, who's the leader of the rebel faction, and you have different factions within those factions that argue about who's going to take what land when they win and things like that. And the reason why I think it would make a good anime is, I think some of you know where I'm going with this, is mecha. That's right, big mecha machines, yeah. Just like Code Geass, Gundam, all that good stuff. You can throw that in there. It's ripe for it. There's at least, in the play itself, there are at least, I think, 4 major battle scenes. So you can definitely do that. You can have your intrigue, you can have your comedy, you can have your drama, and you can have your action. And this is something that could be like one of those 26 episode type of things. There's definitely a beginning and there's definitely an end. Now you notice that I said part 1. There is a part 2 that a lot of people in Shakespeare don't really watch. It's not done that often. My playhouse is actually going to do it. But I think we should just keep it to part 1. Henry IV, part 1. Think about it. Okay, let's go on to the next one. This one is interesting in that you kind of have to follow Hong Kong cinema a little bit. And I don't mean martial arts Hong Kong. I mean art house. And the director in question is Wong Kar-wai. And it's actually 2 movies, as you noted. It starts with Chungking Express, and then it comes with Fallen Angels. Fallen Angels is the sequel to Chungking Express. Now, the interesting thing is that when Wong Kar-wai did the movies, the 2 movies, it was actually only supposed to be one big movie. But when he got through the first 2 vignettes in the first movie, which is Chungking Express, he got bored with it, and he decided to do a sword epic, a Chinese emperor sword epic. Why not? So then he went on, once he got that out of the system, he went back and he made Fallen Angels. So it's basically 4 vignettes spread over 2 movies. And the vignettes this is kind of like a quirky slice of life or drama or romance. And all those things kind of play in. And the first vignette is about a cop who's very meta. He's just very, just like world weary, and he's looking for love, and he comes across this mysterious woman and he knows nothing about, and she kind of hooks onto him and he becomes her protector. And so the first vignette is them going through him being her protector, falling in love, and then going through the motions of that relationship. The second vignette, which is probably the most popular vignette of the 4, stars Tony Leung. Now, if you know Hong Kong cinema, you know who Tony Leung is. He plays another policeman, but this time he's more of a beat cop, and he just kind of, works the Chungking Express line and, the stations, and kind of checks in. He's not really a detective like the first guy was. And he is beset by this really cute girl who just loves him. And she just spies on him, figures out where he lives, manages to get into his apartment, gets upset when she finds a hair of another woman in his bed. It's like a rom-com, basically. But it's really funny, it's really cute, and he has, this is the only thing I can describe, is that interesting, that it's kind of, I don't even know how to describe it. He has his favorite little dish towel that when he gets sad, he talks to his dish towel as he's washing his dishes, and as he's wringing out, he's saying, "Why are you crying so much?" You have to watch it in order for that to make any sense whatsoever. You gotta watch it. Okay, so the second movie, Fallen Angels, is much more serious. I'm going to talk about the second vignette of that movie as opposed to the first vignette first. So the second one, it has to do with a person who is mute. He can't talk, and he's kind of a free spirit. He's kind of taking care of his father, and he just roams all over Hong Kong. He's just all over the place. He gets into trouble and all this stuff. And it's just about a person finding his way and just being a very quirky individual. And that's really all I can say. That's probably the weakest vignette of the 4. The vignette that starts the movie has to do with a hired killer and his handler. So basically there's a woman who assigns him his jobs, his hit jobs. And they don't, and in order to maintain security, to maintain, that separation in case one of them gets caught so the other one doesn't, they don't really talk to each other. They don't meet up with each other. They don't see each other. In fact, the only time that they ever really met was for the first time when they decided this is how they were going to conduct their business. Well, as he's going out and doing his hits around Hong Kong, she goes to his apartment, which is right next to Chungking Express, and she gets into this fetish gear a little bit, like a latex maid kind of thing going on, and cleans his apartment and kind of just It's a little creepy, weird, but interesting. I don't know how to explain it. And it's about what happens when the relationship comes to an end. From the very get-go, you know the relationship ends, by the way, so that's not a spoiler. But it's how it ends is really interesting. So I think those should get the anime treatment, just kind of like a slice of life type of thing, just kind of interesting, kind of out there, kind of stuff, art house. So let's go on to the last one, which is going to be really interesting. Yep, Disney. Okay, let me explain. In the very early 80s, Disney came out with this movie, The Black Hole. And the thing about The Black Hole was that it was a big departure for Disney. They've done serious movies before. They've done tearjerkers. They've explored certain themes, death and things like that. But The Black Hole is really dark. It's really not a kid's film at all. As a matter of fact, one of the big pushbacks of the movie when it first came out was, Disney, how could you? I brought my kid to this show and now he's traumatized. Because you're not dealing with just the ideas of death, but you're dealing with ideas of corruption, madness, heaven, hell. There's a scene at the very end. I don't want to spoil it for you, even though it's a very old movie. I think it's like 1981. But there's a scene at the very end that shows hell and what's going on there, and it's bleak and it's dark and it's very surprisingly like you go, this is Disney. Okay. It has some limited computer graphics for the time. This was about the same time Tron came out, but it didn't have the sophisticated computer graphics that Tron had, but it had really good special effects. And this is definitely a science fiction movie. It's a hard science fiction movie, and it has really deep themes to it. I think this should get the anime treatment only because if you like movies like Paprika, or if you like films like that, or Blue, or things like that, where it's just kind of like a mind screw, this is definitely it. So basically what the premise of the movie is, there's this ship that goes out that goes looking for this gigantor science research vessel, right, that's been lost for 20 years. And they find it, and there's only one surviving human on it, and it's one of the scientists. And he's been stuck traveling around the outside of the black hole. He's been studying the black hole, and he's made this whole ship full of androids, robots, and things like that. And one of in the rescue party is the daughter of one of the scientists who is presumed dead, and that crew, and a companion robot that they have. And so they're trying to figure out what happened. Their ship gets disabled, so they're kind of stuck on this other ship, and they're traveling around the black hole, and everything just spirals down into madness. I don't want to say depravity, because there's no actual sexual thing going on, but it just kind of gets to that weirdness where you're just like going, okay, just stop now. But it just keeps going, and it gets more interesting until finally it has to do with the black hole itself and heaven and hell. And again, that last scene might give you nightmares. Okay, so that's it. Those are all the things, not all the things, but some of the things I think should get the anime treatment. So that's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. And if you like this video, please like it. And if you like what I do here, please subscribe. As always, you know that I would love it if you subscribed. So please subscribe, please. Okay, my name is Steve Gerhardt. This is the Unagi Observer, and I'll see you guys next time.